Masechta Menochos Daf Nun Tes Amar Aleph. Which Fisher? David. Oh. Nun Tes Amar Aleph, the Mishnah. Nun Tes Amar Aleph. Mishnah, yeah. Yes, to Unei Shemen Lovena, there are such Menochos that need Shemen Lovena. And then there are to those that Shemen V'lei Lovena. Then there are Minchas that has Shemen, but on Lovena. And then there's Levina V'lei Shemen. Then you have...
It's very dry then, no?
If it's Levina without Shemen, yeah, it's a dry one. And then there's Loi Levina V'lei Shemen. So we're going to go through these Menochos. These are the Tu'unei Shemen Levina, those that need Shemen Levina. Minchas Seilas. A Minchas Seilas is the Minchas Stam, it's called Minchas Seilas. And if somebody says he's being misnad of a Minchas Stam...
So how do they stay together?
No, Minchas Seilas is together. You have oil and both. Shemen Levina, Minchas Seilas. But Machmas, those that are making the Mincha in a shallow pan, Machesh is the deep pan, Chaluis and the Chalis, for the kicking, the wafers, Minchas Koyanim. If a Mincha Koyin brought it himself, it's not a Stam Mincha. There's no Koyinas there. The ganze Mincha, it belongs to the Eibishter. Minchas Koyin Mashiach, that's the Chavitim, Minchas Chavitim, that the Koyin Gadol brought once in the morning and once at night. Minchas Evit Kechodem. A guy could bring a Neda and a Dava, and we learn it out from the extra word. It says Ish. Mi beis Yisrael min Agei Yisrael. So from the Yitra of Ish, we're a mabed that Evit Kechabim are allowed to bring Kabbanis. Minchas Nadava, Minchas Nashim, and then Minchas Haima. Minchas Haima is brought on the second day of Pesach to be matter the Tvur Chadasha. So all these Minchas need Shemen Levina. Then you have Minchas Nesachim. Next one comes the Minchas Nesachim, Tu'unei Shemen, Vein Tu'unei Levina. A Minchas Nesachim means it's brought with a Mincha mit a Behema, mit Yayin. So that's the Mincha that comes with the Nesachim, with the Yayin. So those Minchas, it needs oil, but it doesn't need Levina. Lachem Aponim, Paket, Ton Levina, Vein Ton Shemen. Lachem Aponim needs Levina, but no Shemen. Shtei Alachem, which was brought on Shvuis. Levina's psalm is Ketores, is frankincense, yes. Shtei Alachem Minchas Chayta. Shtei Alachem was brought on Shvuis. Minchas Chayta is, I mentioned, brings up about the first sin, yeah. Minchas Knais is the Minchas Soita, that the husband accused her, and she's denying it.
There's a
Kinner, yeah. He warned her. He was first warned her, and then and she was caught alone. So then she brings a Minchas Soita. Ein Tu'unei Shemen Levina. No Shemen, no Levina is brought. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam she'achol niyeh b'dvarei. Omer Papa said, Kol heichad etnan, in every place where the Mishnah, it says the Seder of Menachos, so he says Esetnan. You should know, every category of Mincha had to be a group of 10 of that category. If it was Chalis, you couldn't mix it. It had to be Dafka Chalis. Rikikin, certainly Rikikin.
Same thing.
It has to be the same thing. Lafokim de Rab Shimon. To exclude from the Shita of Rab Shimon. The Omar that Rab Shimon says, somebody who says, Harei alai minchas mahafeh. So what does he bring? He can bring Mechzer Chalis and Mechzer Rikikin. Rab Shimon argues, I can bring half and a half. I can bring...
As long as I have 10 altogether.
Right, as long as I have the number 10, I can go 5 Chalis and 5 Rikikin. Yavi, he can bring. Kamash Malan, comes unsere Mishnah to Diloi that he cannot do so. He can't. Or you can learn, that's one pshat. Another pshat is that according to the Rab Shimon, it shouldn't be 10, it should be 11. Because there's one that you bring only chalis, and there's one that you only bring rikikin, right? And then you have another mincha that you bring 5 rikikin and 5 chalis. So it should have been 11 amongst the ones that he said. That's the second shot that Rashi brings. Anyways, talking about it says in the Sata Leha Shema. It says that the whole pasuk is like this. Sata Leha Shema. By the Minchas Haima, it says you should put it on Shemem. Samta Allah Levina, and you should also put it on Levina. I'm just reading the pasuk that he brings down. Mincha is a kam Mincha. So that's the Minchas Haima. That's the pasuk of Minchas Haima. So the first 3 words is Minasata Allah Hashem. What is Allah coming to exclude? Beloy Allah Mapanim Shemen. only on the Minchas Ha'ema there was Shemen, aber nicht from Lach Maponim. Yochel, I would have thought the Lach Maponim should have also Shemen. Why? It's a Kavachema. How? Ma Minchas Nesachim Sheina Tunin Leveina. Madach the Minchas Nesachim. You say no Leveina, and the Gemara is going to tell you where we learn it out from. Aber Tunin Shemen still it needs Shemen. Lach Maponim Sheton Leveina, but Lach Maponim that needs Leveina, and he didn't Sheton Shemen for sure. It needs Shemen. Talmud Leima Allah Shemen. Only on the Minchas Ha'ema you should put Shemen. But Lei Allah Maponim Shemen, but not on the Lach Maponim. It says V'samto Allah Leveina. So the Allah means Dafke on the Minchas Ha'ema you should put Leveina. Till now we said about Shemen. Now it says also in the Sat Allah Leveina. So I'd say only by the Minchas Ha'ema Leveina, but Lei on Minchas Nesachim Leveina, but not on Minchas Nesachim. Yochel, I would have thought that Minchas Nesachim for sure should have Leveina, V'Haloidinhu, Tzakavachema, how Malach Maponim. She'enei Ton Shemen. Lach Maponim doesn't need Shemen. Aber Ton Leveina needs Leveina. Minchas Nesachim, Shetun Shemen, that does need Shemen. And they didn't Shetun Leveina, shouldn't have to have Leveina for sure. Allah Leveina, same idea. Yeah. Only on the Minchas Seilis there's Leveina. But we don't put on the Minchas Nesachim Leveina. Says Gemara, the word Mincha is extra. It says Mincha Hi. What was the pasuk? Minchas Bikurim. And then it says, and it finishes off Mincha Hi. You're already talking about a Minchas Bikurim. So why are you saying Mincha Hi? What's the Mincha even coming to teach us? The Hi is also another Mir. You started off the pasuk saying V'im Takit Minchas Bikurim, right? And then you finish off Mincha Hi. It's Minchas Bikurim was nice to me. Mincha. Why are you saying Mincha? It's a Yitel Rabbis Minchas Shmini Lilveina. To tell you that on the Shmini and the 8th day of Meluyim, and that Mincha that they brought on the 8th day of Meluyim needed a Leveina. That's the extra word Mincha. He's not talking about it now. That it needs Leveina. What about he? What's the extra word Mincha? He? What is the he coming to tell us? That only the Minchas Ha'ema needed Shemen Leveina, no other Mincha. Lahitzi Shtei Alachem. To exclude the Shtei Alachem, Shloi Yitanu Loi Shemen Loi Leveina. To exclude the Shtei Alachem, that the Shtei Alachem will not need not oil nor not Leveina. Omamak, the Tana said in the Braisa before, Allah only on the Minchas Oime Shemen, Abavaloy Alach Maponim Shemen, but not on the Lach Maponim. Says Gemara, how do you know Allah is being Memait Lach Maponim? Ema Allah Shemen is Veloy Minchas Kahanim Shemen. Maybe he's coming to exclude Minchas Kahanim from Shemen. So Gemara might stop with Minchas Kahanim Havalei Rebuya. It makes only sense. It's only reasonable to say that Minchas Kahanim for sure had Shemen because it's so similar to the Minchas Ha'ema. Why? Shakeni Sarin. Number one, Sai Minchas Ha'ema and Sai Minchas Bikurim is you only bring one Isarin. Number two, Kli has to be used by a Kli Shades. Number three, Chutz that you had to do the Avodah of side the Minchas Ha'ema and side the Minchas Nesachim had to be outside the Heichel, outside the Chutz Heichel, in the Hazara, like all the other Minchas. And so it wasn't in the Heichel. Okay, where are we up to? So that's another Bitsura. Bitsura means that they both become puzzle if it goes overnight. It loses its tzura. It's not as fresh. So they both have the psulina. And then what was the last one? Hagosha, right? Hagosha v'ishim. Hagosha, both of them need the Hagosha. It has to be brought to the corner of the Mizbeach by the southwest. No, to the Mizbeach. They brought it to the corner. Every mincha before the Kmitza, they brought it to the south side, to the Dorim side, and towards the west. So Svenis Maravis. Southwest, you ever heard of Southwest Airline? That's where they brought it, Southwest.
That's where they got the airline.
That's where they got the airline from the Hagosha. But they get my kibbut Hagosha. Somebody won't give us kibbut by the breeze. mit dem gerufen, no, you know, is Mechabit, Rav Zalman Chanin, the head of Kos, whatever, as all machen the Hagosha. He said, do them the Hagosha. Yeah, wer darf haben the Hagosha? It's like from Sabransky, I went Avram Ayah, and not the old Sabransky, I forgot his name.
Chaim
No, Alter.
was his father.
His father.
Okay.
Okay, they were by Fabring.
Gosha doesn't make sense altogether.
Yeah.
You threw the baby.
Yeah. So is by Shmuel Kamenetsky, before he went on Shlichus, they Fabring in his mother's house. So the yeah. So Sarbansky or the Yama Bracha, Avram Ayah is 11 bis über 180. Hat Avram Ayah gegeben gern für du Pischen Reisen bis 180. Anyway.
You can go to say the same thing.
Oh yeah, I was there by the Fabring, me, the whole class. It was like, what? Okay. Anyway, it says Lechem Haponim doesn't have anything like this. It's two esreinus, that's number one. It doesn't need a klisharis to even after shine like a klisharis by the Lechem Haponim. And it doesn't become kedus saguf till you make it in the tanor, and you do it in the heichel da'avida. So it's all these has nothing in common with the minchas ha'ema. Says you want adarabah Lechem Haponim havlei l'rabuye. Lechem Haponim has a lot in common with minchas ha'ema. No, he should have included it, and because it has a lot in common. Because a Lechem Haponim, minchas ha'ema, and the Lechem Haponim shekein tzibur is a mincha dafka from that tzibur. Chayva it's a chayv, tamei, and a tzibur is could still bring a carbon, could override the tumah hutta b'tzibur. Or the tumah tchuya b'tzibur, but it still overrides the tzibur, overrides it. The achil means that there is
Who it is?
The achil. I just want to make sure that there is it says that by the kahanim eat the shiori of the minchas ha'ema, and also the Lechem Haponim is also eaten. The achil is eaten by people. By Mashen came the mincha of Nesachim is not.
For the people or also for the Kohen?
Or the kahanim, that's people. People, it's not burnt on the mizbeach. Kahanim, yeah. So it's eaten by it's nicht verbrannt on the mizbeach. Or pigula, and it's found from pigul, because pigul could only be by something that's mat. It has something that's mated. Lamashal by the minchas ha'ima. Was is mated the shiyore from the mincha that the kahanim should be able to eat it? The kmitza. By the Lechem Haponim, what's mated the Lechem Haponim for the kahanim to be able to eat it? The 2 spoons of bazichim that stay bazichim was some had keteiris in them, and they were makted on the mizbeach. That made the Lechem Haponim mutter. So only if it has a dava was is matezei can zayin pigul. But by minchas nesachim, the whole mincha is burnt. So there's no dava hamata. So there's no isa pigul and mishapsa, and they both override the Shabbos. This tzibur with a chayva overrides the Shabbos versus minchas nesachim.
Higher level.
So you see, it has a lot in common with Lechem Haponim has a lot in common with minchas ha'ema. And the Gemara Mistaba that minchas kayanim is he says is included versus Lechem Haponim should be excluded. Why? Because it says also in the pasuk by minchas seila is the word nefesh. What's the word of the pasuk? Nefesh kisakriv kol mincha. Nefesh means a yochid. It's mashma adam yochid, meaning who's a mincha that a kohen brings. The minchas kahanim, they brought their own mincha. The whole thing was burnt on the mizbeach, the minchas kahanim. So those minchas kahanim has to have shaman because it's included in the pasuk where it says nefesh kisakav kabel mincha, where there that carbon needed shaman, and minchas kahanim are included in it from the word nefesh. That's why a light could only be excluding Lechem Haponim. Amamar Tanet gesagt in the Braisa Allah. It says when to the minchas ha'ema leveina, you have to put leveina. Aber v'lo ya minchas nesachim, but not a minchas nesachim. On a minchas nesachim you don't put leveina. Why are you saying it's excluding Minchas Nesachim and Levaina? Say Minchas Kayanim. Allah is telling you Minchas Kayanim hat nicht kein Levaina. Says Gemara Mistab Minchas Kayanim have Levaina. I'm going to tell you, it makes more sense to include Minchas Kayanim together with Minchas Haima have much more in common. Shekain, Isarin Bolul Beluk, by the Minchas Haima and the same thing with Minchas Kayanim, you have a Isarin, but how many lugim shaman do you have? One lug. But when it comes to the Minchas Nisachim, over there it's 3 lugim in the Isarin. Mugash, they both have Agasha, because these two, when there's a Kmitza, then you need Agasha. Any Mincha that has Kmitza, then you have to go on the airplane southwest. You have to put the Agasha, you have to bring it to the southwest of the Mizbeach. And then Begal Letzim. Begal Letzim means that the Minchas Haim and the Minchas Kahanim could be brought on its own. It doesn't have to be brought with another Mincha. Hashem Minchas Nesachim has to be dafka with another carbon. Says you want to add that up. Minchas Nesachim have Leila Rebuye. Minchas Nesachim has more in common with the Minchas Haima. Why? Shekain Tzibura. We said that before. They're both brought as a tzibur. Chayva, they're both brought al tzachayv. Ve'itmen overrides the tumah hut betzibur. And b'shabza, and it overrides the Shabbos. Ma'ashein Minchas Nesachim cannot. And the Gemara Mistabra, you cannot exclude Minchas Kayanim. Why? Because again, Nefesh, it says Nefesh Kisakim Mincha Seiles, that Mincha has to be with oil, that Nefesh. Nefesh is referring to a Yachid. And Minchas Kayanim, a Mincha that a Kayan brings, that's a Minchas Yachid. So therefore, from the word Nefesh, we know it has to be with Levaina. So the Gemara Mincha, the extra word Mincha, L'Rabbi, is Minchas Hashmini Levaina. Is coming to include that the mincha that they brought on the Shmini Lameluyim for the Chanukas Beis Hamikdash, they put Levaina. That's what the extra mincha is coming to us. Tell us. Say that he's coming to be memayed this mincha from Levaina. How do you know he's coming to tell you have to put Levaina? Maybe if I can't exclude it from Levaina. Sagt die Mother, hi, was for a kasha is this? If you tell me it's coming to include that the mincha that they used in the Shivas Yimei HaMeluyim, and the Shmini LeMeluyim, that it needs Levaina, makes sense. Because I wouldn't have known that it needs Levaina, because the Shmini LeMeluyim, I wouldn't learn out from the other minchas, because the Shmini LeMeluyim was only a Hayrais Shah. It was only for the Chanuk Samishkan. And the other Menochos are Noig L'Deiris. And we said, we cannot learn out from Deiris. So I wouldn't know that it needs Levaina. That's why we needed Allah to be Mabel Levaina. He's come to tell you Minchas Shmini that was brought by the Shmini Lameluyim doesn't need Levaina. What do I need a pus to tell you it doesn't need? I would have never said that I should learn out from Deiris that you don't. I would have never learned it out that it needs. So obviously he's come to include that it does need Levaina. The word he. The word he comes to tell us, to exclude Shtei Alachem, that it doesn't need no Shemen, no Levaina. Maybe he is coming to exclude Minchas HaKahanim, that it doesn't need Shemen Levaina. It makes more sense. Minchas Kahanim has in common with the Minchas Ha'ima. Was doing it over. It's like it was saying over the same thing. Why does a Minchas Kohen have more in common with Minchas Ha'ima? Shekeni Sari. Number one, it's only brought Isari. Mashain came Minchas Kohenim is 3 Yisraelis. Kli. I'm sorry, not Minchas Kohenim. I'm sorry. The Shtei Alachem. And here it's Isari. There's 3. Kli. It needs a Kli. By the Minchas Kainim and Minchas Oima, matzah has to be dafka matzah, ve'etzem, and it's brought with it doesn't have to be brought with other karbanis. Ve'etzem means it's brought on its own. Hagosha, because any mincha that you take off a kmitza needs hagosha. Hagosha means southwest of the Mizbeach, nicht the airplane. Hagosha, you have a ishain, nicht the airline, meinich. Ishim, and it has to be put on the fire. And Mashain came, the Shtei Alechem was not put on the fire, it was not in a kli, it was chametzik, and it wasn't brought alone, it was brought with karbonis, and there was no hagosha, and you didn't put it, so none of it has nothing in common. In fact, but no, Shtei Alechem, Shtei Alechem has more in common with the Minchas Ha'ima. Wie sagt man das? Shakein Tzibur. Because by the Shtei Alechem Minchas Ha'ima is dafke gebracht mit der Tzibur. It's only brought with a Tzibur. Chayva, and it's brought as a chayv. Tomei, and that Tzibur overrides the Tumah. The Ochal means the Kahanim get to eat it after the Kmitza. Pigula. Pigula means that it's because it has a Dova Mater. Only if something is mated, like I told you, the Kmitza is mater, the Kmitza is mater, the Shiyarei Hamincha. So if it has a Dava Mater, then it can become Pigul. But when you're talking about the Minchas Nesachim, it doesn't have a Dava Mater, because the whole thing is burnt on the Mizbeach. B'Shapsa, because it's a tzibur, overrides the Shabbos. Matir, and now he's saying matir means that the Shtei Alechem is matir the chodosh that's in the Mikdash, right? The Tvur Chadosh, the Oima is matir the Tvur Chadosh of this year for Achlis Edyet, and the Shtei Alechem is matir the chodosh which is in the Mikdash, that you're allowed to be makif the Menochos b'Mikdash. You understand? So they both matter something. And then we have Tnufa, they both have, you raise them. But
so then you could learn one from the other.
yeah, they have in common. So that's why they're together. You're not going to exclude the Shtei Alechem from it, because it has in common with the Oima. But Oretz, and what does it mean by Oretz? That the Tvua has to come from Eretz Yisrael, versus the Mincha of Nesachim does not. And Bisman, and it has a set time. That the Oima is dafke the Zweite Tag Pesach, and the Shtei Alechem is dafke Shvuos. Shvuos. And Chodosh, and they both have to, they both come from the new Tvua of this year. Mashenka Minchas Koyanim is, first listen, Shkitzibah, Kabin Yochid. It comes as an adova. It doesn't override the tumah. It's all burnt. There's no dinner pigel because there's nothing being mated. It's not karev b'Shabbos. It's not mater anything. It doesn't need a tnufa. It could come from even from the tvul from Chutz La'aretz. It's not brought on a specific time. It comes from the altar tvua. V'hani nefishin, and says Gemara, the Shtei Alechem has more in common with the Minchas Ha'ima than the Minchas Nesachim. You can't exclude Minchas Koyanim. Why can't you exclude Minchas Koyanim? I keep on saying Minchas Nesachim, Minchas Koyanim. Why? Because Minchas Koyanim is included in the word Nefesh Kisakev Mincha. Nefesh is a yochid that brings a mincha, and there it has to be done with Levina and Shemin also. So therefore, and part of Nefesh is Minchas Koyanim that a Koyim brings. So therefore, we know from Nefesh it has to be brought from Shemin Levina, and you can't exclude Minchas Koyanim, and therefore you can only exclude Shtei Alechem. Sagt die Gemara, sagt the Mishnah, sagt the Heilige Mishnah over here. It says in the Benegeya to a Minchas Chayta and a Minchas Soita, or Minchas Kanos, he calls it, doesn't need no Shemin Lo Levina. And you know, the pasuk says Lo Yosin Aleh Shemin, Lo Yitin Aleh Levina. That's by the Minchas Chayta. Or the Minchas Soita, it says Lo Yitzoik Alav Shemin, or Lo Yitin Alav Levina. So the Gemara says, but you're going to be chayiv malchus al Hashem b'fnei atzmai. If you put shemen itself, you're going to be chayiv for it. There's no shemen. It's not allowed to be minchas chayta, minchas soita. Yeah, you can't have it fancy for a chayta. It has to be ugly. It has to be blah, very yeah. Shemen. And if he puts Levina, he's also going to be chayiv for either one. because there's a specific Isur for each one. Lo Yosem Aleh Shemen, that's one Isur for Shemen. But Lo Yitna Aleh Shaleveina. So it says, we finish with both. So how about Nasna Aleh Shemen? What's if he put Shemen on the Minchas Chaytra, Minchas Seita? Psola, it's possible. Leveina, that is possible. What do you do with Leveina? Yil Ketana, just take off the Leveina and it's kosher. So why? Shemen, why can't you do Yil Ketana?
Shemen goes inside.
That's it. The Rashi's like, Shemen absorbs. We can't start Islam. And he says, even if you're going to squeeze it out, so it becomes less than the shear, then you have to add to make it to the shears. So it's possible. Nas and Shemen al Shireha, if he plays the Shemen on the Shirayim after the Kmitza, so then he's not even Loisase. He's not even a Loisase because it says in the Pasuk, Aleha Shemen. The Aleha means only if you have the whole Asidus Haifa. But if he already took off the Kmitza, Shem felt from the Asidus Haifa. So if he puts Shemen on Levein, he's not going to be Oiva Loisase. Nas and Kli, what's if he took the Keli? He didn't spill out the Shemen, it's still in the Keli. And he took that Keli and Al Gabe Kli, and he put on the Kli where there was the Minchas Chayta, the Minchas Soita, like Psala. It wasn't Nisadif. It was a Kli on top of a Kli.
So did you go in there?
Right. It says, Lo Yosim Allah Shemen. Ve'im Sam, if he put Shemen, Pasul, it becomes Pasul. Yochel, I would have thought, Lo Yitna Allah Leveina, Ve'im Nasam Pasul. I would have thought the same thing as by Leveina. If he puts Leveina, it should be Pasul. Tamad Leime Ki Chatos. To tell us that even if he placed Leveina, it's still a Chatos and it's Mechapa. Yochel is Shemen. So I would have thought, so Shemen also, maybe if put Shemen, that it should be, it shouldn't be Pasul. Tamad Leime He, that the Mincha without Shemen is kosher. But if you put Shemen, he means only if it doesn't have Shemen. Oh, but if you like Shemen, it's going to be Pasul. How do you know he is going on the Shemen part? Maybe the he is going to on the Leveina part. That that it cannot be with Leveina. And if you put Leveina as Pasul, how do you know? How do you know? What made you say we're going to say the Shemen is Pasul, but the Leveina wasn't excluded from me? Maybe the reverse. And the Gemara pays on the Shemen. She actually locked I have to Pasul Shemen. It's impossible to up them in the Shemen. Yeah, it's already absorbed in the flour. But by Leveina, it's two separate mitzios and it doesn't absorb. How about if he put Azal Leveina, he grinded it and it's like dust. Go go stop picking up like you throw glitter, go pick up all the glitter. It's how you gonna you can't gather it off. So is it going to be Pasul? We said the reason why it's not Pasul because he could take off the Leveina. But when he grinded it into the dust, he can't. Since it wasn't absorbed in the Kemach, and this one also wasn't absorbed in the Kemach, so I'll say it's kosher. Yeah, Tashma, come in, I'll answer you. It says in the Mishnah, Ulevaina, if he plays Levaina, Yil Ketana. It's mashma that the Lakita, the taking it off, is machshir, this mincha. Zakimana Nishkanaya. Dilma Chada Veit Kama. Maybe he's saying that the Ike is that it's not nivlas. That's the main thing. And he says, V'oid Kama, that you can take it off. Chada, the Laimabala. Number one, the Ike is it doesn't get absorbed. So that's why it's kosher. But another reason why it's kosher, because he can take it right off the mincha. Toshma, come in here, and I'll bring you an eye from the Braisa. Masha ani b'leveina, she'ev shel. But it says in the Mishnah, in the Braisa it says b'feidish, that the mincha is kosher only when you could be melach in the leveina. It says you want to nishkanai. No, hachanami you could say chada. He's saying number one, it's not bailei, and that's why it's kosher. He says another reason because you could be malaketed. So, in fact, what's the answer? Is it kosher, even if the levena is on it with little dust, and even though you can't be malakit? We learned in the Braisa, minchas choyte or minchas kenois. Kenois is minchas choyte. Shenos na la levena. That he placed levena.
Is the Seder, right?
This is the choyte, minchas choyte. There's malakit sel levena. He takes off the levena. Ukshena, it's going to be kosher. Him actually likeit levenasa chishiv Allah bein chutz lizmane bein chutz l'mekaymet. What's if before he took off the levena, he had a machshavas pigol to eat it next week? Or to burn the kmitza after the zman. Puzzle of a vein by kodesh. He says that there's no kodesh. Why? Because by pigol, the ancient exclusive isad by pigol can only be pigol, the machshava. But everything has to be kosher. But here you had a problem. The levena was on top. So you see, if the levena is on top, it's puzzle. Not like we wanted to say, oh, the levena is on top because the ik is that it's not nivla, it doesn't absorb. Here you see
On top.
the mere fact that's on top, it's a psul, and that's why he wasn't chayiv kodesh for the pigul, because by pigul the only is has to be pigul. Here it's mashma. There was another issue before. Here you see beferish. Here's the punchline. He says you took off the. Let's say you took off the levena, and then he had a machshavas pigul. It's chayiv kodesh. So you see that the levena makes it puzzle. So it's we don't say the ik is why it's kosher because it's nivla. It's not nivla. Even if it's not nivla, it's possible by the. In fact, you're saying that it's pigul when the levena was on it. In fact, it shouldn't even be pigul at all. You're saying it's absolute pigul or b'megitzikin karis. There's no karis. It shouldn't be pigul at all because when the levena was on top of it, it wasn't even royi for a carbon. The only isa pigul is by a carbon which is royi to be makriv. But with the levena, it's not even right. In fact, to have a pach, we should consider this mincha when the levena is on it as if the whole shemen poured out. Why should it even be pasam ha'shavah? Dochiu. It's b'chal not royal ha'krava, so it's not shayach for the mizbeach. So there shouldn't be any psul of pigol, right? No, chatas kaya achmana. The Torah still calls it. Even when the oil is on it, the Torah says, still, if you put levena on it, it shouldn't be levena. Right. So that means even when you put levena, it's still a chatas, but you shouldn't have levena, such a chatas. It's a minchas chayta. Rabbi Amar ha-mani, who's this Mishnah following? Chonan ha-mitzihu, the less late the chuyan. He doesn't hold that of this concept that once it's nitche lo'ilam. The Tanya that we learned in the Braisa. What's the case over there? By Avedas of Yom HaKippurim, you had to bring 2 se'irim. One se'ir was called the Chatas HaPnimis, was Nikav in the Mikdash, and one se'ir was the Soil Azazel, Nishlach Azazel, whatever. It was sent to Azazel. Okay, so what happened over here? So you could only send it to Azazel when you have the dam of the kais, right? And the sorrow of the Azazel is there. So then you can use the dam of, if the dam of the kais of the sorrow hapnimi is standing together with the sorrow that has to be sent to the Azazel. If they're standing together, then you could do the avodah with the dam of the sorrow hapnimis. But what happened here? The sorry hamishtalech died. So if you say now it's a dichui, then you should have to bring another pair and do a geidel all over again, right? So here he says, Chonamitzi says, no, you don't have to do over. Maybe chaveirei. We bring another sorry for to be mishtaleach, and then you can do the avodah with the dam. If you would say it's dichui, look, the Azazel one died, so this blood that you took from the Sarah Pnimis can no more be used. It was nitcha. So you should have to bring 2 more seirim and make a geidel and one. But he says no. You bring another one without a goyel, you put it next to it, and with the blood of the
For the first kid,
yeah. So you see that Chon Amitzi says that we don't say it's dochli. So Al says also by us, by the chatos when he puts levain on it, it's not nitcha. Ravashi says kol shabiyad lo yavidachi. Ravashi gives a different teretz. He says you can even use that's ein the beraisa like the chachamim who say there is a concept of dichui, but they are mechalik when if it's something that it's biyad l'sakin, then it's lo yavidachi. It's not a dichui.
you can't push it over.
And since here he could be malakid the lavaina, so it's not a dichui. Amar Avada Kvasid Ravashi. Amar Avada said Kvasid Ravashi Mistabra that you even go according to Chachamim that there is a concept of dichui, but not when Shabiyadei L'Saknei. The man Shamat lay this lay Dichuyan. Who is the Tana that told us this din of dichui? Rabbi Yehudi. It's not that we learned from in the Mishnah. If the dam of the Sarah Pnimi spilled out before they were zaydik, it fell out. The whole dam fell out. So now you can't get this dam back. So Yom Samishtaleyach. Then you have to get a new pair Yom Samishtaleyach because it was Nitchel Oilam, and you have to start all over again. And so too, if the mace, if the Sarah Mishtaleach, mace Hamishtaleyach, if the Sarah Mishtaleach died before he sprayed the dam, Yishav Chadam. You have to pour out the blood. But we learn in the case, Rabbi Yehuda says, where it's b'yad l'saken, Tanya, we learn in the Braisa. Rabbi Yehuda Ima, kois hayu memale midam hataruves. By the carbon pesach, the blood fell on the floor, and he didn't do the Haved, you could still eat the carbon pesach. All you have to do is take a cup and go to the and fill up with blood from the floor. It was full of Kabbanis Pesachim, and they say that they were walking in the blood up to the knees. So for sure, there was a zika. He says for sure there was somebody was nishvach the dam before the zika a little bit, and for sure between the dam he had some dam before the zika. It's mixed in all this blood, and he can do the zika. And we don't say, oh, it's nitcha. So you see, if it's biyadei l'sak noi, we don't say the din of dichui. And here, by the Levena, when it's on the top of the minchas chayta, the minchas soita, we say it's biyadei l'sak noi because you can't take it off. So then it's not called dichui. If take was powder, then it will be nitcha.